to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
Quit telling me I am hard to shop for. Y'all all know where the liquor store is.
And Dale Hummel.
I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, 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 and ho, ho, ho.
It is that time, isn't it?
I thought that was funny.
Depends how you look at it.
It is Santa time. Well, I mean, you know, like, it just, I know a lot of people that are not huge fans of Christmas. I am a huge fan of the presents. Everything else, you know, and I mean, of course, baby Jesus being born, that's great too. But like, the being stuck with family for like hours on end, yeah, that I don't know, but I mean, you know, presents and baby Jesus, I'm all big fan
because you have no home.
No, I have no home to run away and barred the doors and lock up. So yeah, no, I am stuck, and so yeah, I am already looking. I got home Monday night, and today is Tuesday afternoon. And I am already looking for ways out. So, and don't
you spend most of your time in hotel rooms? Why would you want to leave again?
You see, again, I love my parents. I do. I love them both dearly. Y'all don't know the real them. And so, again, especially the female one. Yeah, this will be a lot. But anyhow,
well, I hear your president.
So many current events.
I don't have a lot, but I do have the one that makes me very.
How
angry.
do you not have a lot? So many.
Well, I think one of them overwhelms it. The $3.5 billion that Joe is asking from Congress to fix the border problem. This is the image he's putting out there. He's going to fix the border problem with this $3.5 billion. Do you want to know what he's going to do with that $3.5 billion?
But he hasn't said what the $3.5 billion is going to do.
Yeah,
to fix
they
the border
alluded
problem.
to it.
Do you realize that?
Yeah, I think they have. They have. Yes. Well, I have no question what it's for. It's not to build the wall. It's not to enforce the border. It's none of those things. But let's not just come out and say it like you stated. They're not just going to come out and say it's to get more people down there to process people coming across the Rio Grande that much faster and try to avoid the buildup there. The buildup there doesn't take a good picture for the White House. So they want them to come across the river, get them on a bus, get them on an airplane, get them into the interior as quickly as they can. So there's no photo ops for the right to say, hey, we've got a lot of people coming across the border, or we're crowded down here in the border towns. He is taking that $3.5 billion, hiring more people to process those coming across the border that much faster, to disperse them into our country. And I'm getting angry about it all. I have been. I'm getting more upset.
Now, hold up. Stop. Wait a minute. Wait. You can't disperse them much more because as of today, this was earlier today, I believe there are, I don't know there are illegal immigrants that are documented, by the way, documented illegal immigrants. Like, these are the ones that they
means.
Processed or whatever. Right.
Yes.
They have record of them now residing in 433 of the congressional districts in the United States. And these are all from this year.
Yes. No, that does not surprise me.
So I don't know where you think that they're everywhere. This is not just a border problem. This is a United States
that's what I'm saying.
Problem.
But I think what happens is if they don't get those big groups at the border, they can pretend like there's not that many coming across. I'm just going to say it. There's Joe wants as many to come across as they can. The far left wants as many to come across as they can.
Joe is on record saying that he is the one that wants to get rid of Title 42. There's video going of it rampant from April when he said
they want to bring as many in as quickly as they can. And it just is. And this is the far left. And here's where it is. They're intelligent enough to understand we're at about a 50-50 split between the right and the left in this country. What happens when we bring millions of immigrants in, illegal, legal? It isn't legal. I don't even know what to term it anymore. There is no question if they bring enough of voters, let's call them voters, just what it is, in, they can sway that 50-50 in their direction. And this may be something that we can't reverse, Ryan. And I know a lot of the immigrants that have come in legally are avidly opposed to what's going on now, and rightfully so. And they went through all the effort to do things right, and now you don't have to. And then once we get the millions, and literally, I'm not exaggerating, millions in, if they ever get control to the point again, which they could, they'll grant them all amnesty. And once that happens, the voting percentages in this country could be out of whack for a very long time. It's sickening to me. There's no one out there just saying Joe's bringing the immigrants in. He's basically bringing the voting population in to sway it their direction. And I see no other reason for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, but the problem with that theory is, Dale, is I'm agreeing with you that they want to bring them all in and maybe they'll get amnesty or whatever else. Like, after that, though, those people have to go through the process of actually becoming, like, getting documentation that they're a legal United States citizen and then registering to vote and all that. And the big thing, where I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying here's the biggest hiccup with this whole theory, even if you're Biden thinking, most of these people are just coming across the border to smuggle drugs. They don't want to be on record. They don't want anybody to know who they are.
I don't think I think there's a large portion of them, but I don't think it's the majority. I think the majority, I don't doubt there's I think there's some very good people coming across the border that I think could be of value, but not the way we're doing it. If we came across through a work visa or some type of immigration program that at least is structured to a certain degree, not sign your name and hopefully you show up again, which they're on record right now. They just don't show up, a very small percentage of them. But I think they'll make it so easy once they grant amnesty to get them to vote or to that level, I guess. I don't know. There's no other.
I'm going to just give you one figure. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't good people. I'm not like when Trump came down the escalator saying that there aren't good people want to become citizens of the United States. I don't think those people are walking across the border. I think those people are actually going about it the right way and filing the things and doing all that. I don't think those people that you're talking about that truly want to become an American citizen for all the right reasons are just swimming across the border. I disagree with that.
I think
the other thing,
I think most people want to become American citizens. I get that. If I'm living in Central America and knowing what the procedure is and how long it takes to become an American citizen, yet that's my end goal, and I'm in a position where I'm barely providing for my family. Guess what? I walk across the river. That's the quick, easy way in.
We're just gonna have to.
And I think a lot of people are doing that. I think they're taking advantage of the situation, and I don't blame the people coming across. I blame our administration for not locking down that border.
Oh, I blame the people coming across. I absolutely blame the people
I would
coming across.
If I'm in their position, I'm doing.
There is a right way and a wrong way to do everything. And walking across the border is not the right way. And then other thing, and then we move on to something else because
we have allowed it to be the right way, to be the norm.
No, we haven't. The statistics.
I don't think anybody's. Go ahead.
300 million fatal doses of fentanyl in the past 2 years have come across the border with your people that you say want to be American citizens.
No,
300 million fatal.
Huge.
300 million fatal.
Yeah. And how people, even if we lock the border down right now, how do we dig all that up and get rid of it? Good luck.
I don't know, but I'm just saying, and that's just the people they caught. Think about that. That's the people they caught. So what actually got across and into, I was astounded when that number came across the news this morning, and they repeated it multiple times. So it wasn't like just, flub up. Since Biden's administration took office, 300 million fatal doses, which I don't know what constitutes a fatal dose of fentanyl.
I don't think it's very much.
Been whatever seized or whatever at our border. Like, Well, and again, just today or last night, excuse me, in Big Bend, which is like this desert of Texas, and it's god awful, terrible, horrible, hard to cross there, all this other stuff. They apprehended 3 people. They had like 20 pounds of fentanyl and all this weed. One of the 3 people was a 13-year-old child that was carrying this stuff across.
Doesn't surprise me. I believe the cartel has so much control over who's coming across. If it's not drug smuggling, it's they're paying or they're charging all these others to get to the border and to cross their territory. They're making more money on human smuggling, if you want to call it. It's not really smuggling. It's just allowing them to cross or doing nothing than they are on the drugs right now. It's unbelievable to me. And yet we have a portion of our population, and I'm going to term them ignorant, that have no idea this is going on or don't care. Either way, the term still fits.
And the one thing that you're missing on all this I'm not sure you're aware, you just haven't brought it up yet because you choose to focus on other things. The Supreme Court kept Title 42 for a brief time, and the Biden administration had till 5:00 today, I'm assuming Washington time, to answer, to send them a written whatever. I want to know what the Biden administration's going to say about this, because I don't know.
Title 42. They talked about how they're going to address Title 42 for a week now, saying they're going to release a plan. I've seen nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. And I'm glad the Supreme Court stepped in, and Title 42 is a Band-Aid on the monster hole, but we just need to shut the border down. Title 42 stems from obviously COVID and the pandemic, that we can use that to turn them around and send them back to their country. But look at how many are still coming across. It's better than nothing. I'm all in favor of what the Supreme Court did, but it is temporary, and I don't know how you could open the floodgates anymore. Your little girlfriend, what does she say if you talk about if you mention the border's open, what are you accused of?
Then you were a traitor to the country, and you were perpetuating.
Yeah, you're helping the smugglers. You're
right.
Unbelievable. That young lady. I'm just telling you right now, Ryan. I don't have a lot of use for her.
I don't know why you hate her so much. She is literally the best thing that happened to the Biden administration. If you are a Republican, she is the best thing that happened to the Biden administration, because she literally is the dumbest little cute little girl in the history of the world and knows nothing what to say. But no matter what happens with Title 42, I do want to hear the Biden administration, what they send back to the Supreme Court, because it is on record, like Biden saying himself in video that in April that he wanted Title 42 done, and that's what he was waiting for an answer. He wanted that removed. But another interesting point, and I know like we're running long on this, so I'll shut down. Title 8 is still in place. If you really wanted to close up the border, I mean, and again, this would have to be for people that were apprehended or coming across. Title 8 is not just in terms of health. It is if you were a terrorist, if you have a criminal record. There's like 8 other things along with what is in Title 42 that if they would just implement Title 8, it wouldn't fix everything, but it would fix a whole lot.
Agree. It helps. We need so much work there. I don't think anything short of what Trump had planned with the border wall and beefing up security. And then we need Congress to act in just, I'm not against immigrants coming in, but let's make a clean, structured way to vet them and to bring them in legally, and set a number that's realistic, not the floodgate that we have now. And even with Title 42, Ryan, look at how many are still coming over the border that we can't send back, or we would choose.
Yeah, I mean, but and that's been my whole thing, whether Title 42 gets lifted or doesn't get lifted or whatever. Okay, like in El Paso and the other hotspot, I think they said it was like Laredo or two of the biggest places where these people have been coming across the border. They're talking like going from 4,000 maybe a day to 18,000 a day. How about that?
Yeah, how about it?
In
Just
multiple, that's just 2 locations in Texas.
So we better give Biden the money so they can get more people down there just to process them through and get them into the interior that much faster. Vote for it. Give them the money.
I don't know if that's going to work. I'm just going to be real honest.
I'm out. Do you have any other current events? That's the only thing that I had written down. That's it.
Oh, yeah, I've got lots of current events. That's where I was like, I don't even, because you're so tunnel vision. You just,
I get
China.
Focused on.
You get on China and nothing else matters.
Don't bring it up.
Sometimes I worry about you.
Do you know what Tucker Carlson's talking about tonight?
I'm sure aliens.
The possibility of UFO encounters in 2023. I haven't recorded. I'm going to record it.
We have a sale. You will be glued to the TV with popcorn, I'm sure. Glued to the TV with popcorn.
Just in time, before we record with Jason, we can maybe talk a little bit about UFOs, you think? Just a little?
But I thought that was about animal intelligence, not UFO. I am so confused on Chase and his podcast.
You can stray a little bit. You can stray.
I hope Chase has got this figured out, what he wants to talk about on his podcast more than you do. Because if we listen to you, then we're going to be talking for hours on 45 different subjects. I have much faith in Chase that he will have this structure.
Okay, we're straying a little bit here.
No, you are straying. Anyway, Elon. I want to talk about Elon. So,
okay.
Elon, I don't. Again, I am very confused on Elon. Have been from the beginning
because he's a good person.
I don't think. No, I don't think that's it.
He's a proud American.
He's actually not from America, but he is a proud American. He came in the right way, so good for him. But Elon put a poll up on Twitter saying that he would abide by the results of it should he stay in as CEO, and 57% said no. His next tweet was, be careful what you wish for, so sometimes it will act. So now he is having to find a new CEO because he said he'd abide by the polling results, and 57% of Twitter users don't want him to be CEO. If I had spent all that money on that company, you think I would have put a poll up there asking them what the hell they thought if I should run my own company?
Highly doubt. I assume that he's
now. I don't know what you think Elon is.
I do not know what he's going to do, but he's not going to release control. So he can be the CEO of the CEO. I don't have any idea what he's going to do, but he's not going to honor that 57% tweet and let go of control of his company.
Oh,
he's not that kind of person.
So then he's a liar.
He may not abide by what he put down in the tweet. I think it was a stupid tweet.
So
he should have never put it out there. Yeah, sure.
How smart was that?
I would venture to guess that there's been just about everybody in this country, on social media or not, that has stated something like that and not followed through. So I give him a pass. I like Elon, so I'm going to give him a lot of passes.
No, I'm not giving him a pass.
Do I think he should have put that out there? No.
I'm not giving him a pass because he's stupid. That is stupid. Man is not stupid. That was stupid.
I don't.
And
I think he's highly intelligent.
The stupidest part of the tweet was, I will abide by the results of the polling. If he wanted to put the poll up there to see what people thought, fine. The stupid part was, I will abide by the results of the polling. And then when the poll closed,
should have put anything up there. He should have left it alone.
Then when the poll closed, he's like acknowledges that this was a bad plan on his, but he is evidently, as of this morning, actively looking for a new CEO because of this. Moving on to more Elon.
And you know what? He probably needs one. He can't dedicate all of his time to it. So maybe it works out. Maybe he was planning on having a new one anyway.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Anyway, next.
You and
your little Ukraine president. I mean, like, it doesn't matter how dirty he is before or after, you just love him because he's patriotic or whatever. And next.
Keep going. What else?
But staying on Twitter and Elon. So Twitter Files number 7 dropped, and finally people are actually talking about what is in Twitter Files number 7. And y'all can all go research this if you want. The FBI had a task force of over 80 members that was solely to censor any of the Hunter Biden laptop information on social media, and they paid Twitter, the government, the United States of America, and I don't know how this is possible when Trump was president, but it did happen. I guess the FBI can do what they want with their own funds. Paid Twitter millions of dollars to censor that story, even though they knew it was all true.
And yet got away with it to this point. I'm with you, Ryan. I don't get it. And especially while Trump's in office, I understand the FBI is its own entity and they're
that's the only thing that I can come up with.
So if Elon, if your buddy Elon would not have bought Twitter, would this have ever surfaced?
No, it wouldn't have surfaced. And I'm not saying that Elon doesn't do good things or whatever, but like Elon does as many stupid brain dead things as he does good things. And I still say in the end, there's an ulterior motive for all this. But you're missing the point. Like you have nothing to say on the fact that 80 FBI agents were on a task force.
It should be everybody involved should be. I'm not going to say what I think. They should be put in jail. How's that?
I think
I can't imagine these things even are taking place. And yet,
in this instance, I would vote for you and shooting them in the kneecap. Okay, I would go that far. I think
or worse,
but
worse.
I'm just
how does this happen, Ryan? I don't get it.
That I don't know. That like really, I mean, like this is the most appalling thing that has come out in a very long time, in my opinion. That doesn't that violate the Constitution as much as anything? It violates the whole principle of America that America was founded on. It violates the whole principle this country was founded on. And there were 80 FBI agents doing it, and they paid a company millions of dollars for their cooperation. That is just beyond me. I'm just going to be on it. I mean, just beyond me.
And yet Joe's still in office. Hunter's still fine. Everything's great.
So far, you wait till the new Congress.
I don't know what the Republican. What do you think the House will be able to do once they have their hearings? I have no idea.
Well, in this lease, they're going to have the hearings, and they're going to do just what the January 6th Congressional Committee hearings did to Trump this week. They're going to recommend to the DOJ that, this and this, whatever, but then it's up to the DOJ to act. And so that's the next thing. And this just kind of proves the point that I've been saying. So the January 6th committee met, and they had recommended that the Department of Justice indict Trump on, I think it was 8 different counts or something. I can't remember exactly. And so now the DOJ has this, and they have to decide what to do. No, there is radio silence on this. Nothing at all. Trump now is literally been sent whatever for it's in the DOJ's hands to whether they will criminally charge him, all this other. There is not a mainstream media outlet talking about this. The only person talking about it is Trump. They are literally going to ice this man out. I mean, I have never seen anything like this. To go from, if he sneezed the wrong way, that was the lead story on the news cycle, to now where something, and again, I don't know if the DOJ will act or not, because that committee's so freaking crazy anyway. But if this would have been when he was in office or when he ran for office the last time, you would have heard about this every day until the DOJ gave their plan of action on this. And there's nothing. Absolutely nothing.
No, silence. I agree. It's
I mean, nothing at all. And so, and again, I don't think this is going to work, but like, Trump has got very few options in this, because I'm sure that he has figured out what the media is doing. And so he has no social. I mean, again, I'm not hating on True Social, but that's not really a social media platform. And if these mainstream media companies continue to do this, no one's going to cover anything he says, any of his rallies. They're not going to ask him for interviews. They're not going to cover any campaign events or anything like that. So there's no way for him to get his messaging out unless he goes back to Twitter, because Facebook and Instagram, whatever, they're not going to let him back on. And I mean, I know that Eric and Donald Jr. are doing the best they can, but the following, and here is the problem. I do not think he will bow out of the race. I just don't think he will after he's announced. And that's what I said. I said months ago or weeks ago that I really wish that he did not announce this early and gave it a little bit, whatever. I don't think he'll bow out of the race. I just think his ego's too big. So the only people and go ahead.
I agree about that. Once he announced, I would have said there's no way he will not run. But the longer we go, the more I'm thinking there's a slight chance that he will.
Well, what I hope he does is he bows out and backs DeSantis. I don't think that will happen. But the problem that I see is, and this, if the DOJ acts and if they press charges and, or form another whatever it is that they always form to look into the Mueller or whatever, all the independent counsel, the only people that are going to hear about this are the people that follow Trump, which are the Trump loyalists. It's only going to piss them off more, which is going to drive them to go vote at the primaries more than ever.
So wouldn't the
nobody's
left,
thought about that?
What about this thought? If they're pushing with January 6th and they're doing a lot of things to try to keep Trump from running. If they look at the big picture,
he is running.
Yeah, what I'm saying, they're trying to stop it. They're legally want to throw something in the way that he can't, or at least damage him more. Why don't they just let him run? If at this point his popularity in the general election, you would almost think the left would want him to be the candidate. Am I missing something?
See, that's my deal. They don't, so they know something we don't. There are some things up, I don't know. And then I know we're running long, and I've got another thing on this. I mean, not Trump, but so now today, Karl Rove, who's a Republican strategist, all this other stuff, there's some kind of thing came out that said that at the end of Biden's second year, yada yada, all these things are going great, whatever. So his approval rating is up from before the midterm election, and this was taken, before all this Title 42. His approval rating has gone up 1.1%. So yeah, it's a huge upswing. But anyway, Karl Rove said today that he firmly believes that Joe Biden will run for president, but he will not win the nomination. And he thinks that there will be multiple other people run against him. I find that fascinating. No one ran against
as well. That is interesting. I would not have expected that.
And then the only other thing, and again, we're running on, but I just have to put this out there. So Dale's crypto corrupt buddy, the Sam Bankman-Fried person who got detained by the Bahamian police 12 hours before he was supposed to testify to Congress, and that was all prior to when we recorded last week.
The number 2 donor to the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
The number 2 donor to the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Guess what happened today?
Extradited.
No. A hearing for extradition.
Oh, I thought it was done.
No.
Got it.
They're having a hearing today in the Bahamas at 2:00 on his extradition. Now, he has agreed to be extradited, but the judge, it's just a formality, but yes. But also, when that goes through and he gets back to this lovely country that we all live in at some point at the end of this week, the prosecution and the lawyers have already come up to terms with a bail agreement for him as soon as he hits soil. Now, the judge has not signed off on it, but the judge is an Obama-appointed judge, so I'm sure he will. But yeah,
I think he's got it.
Yeah. How about all that?
That's sickening. It's just sickening.
It's something.
Do you think he thought Mr. Fried Hair Bohemian, whatever you want to call him? Do you think if he truly thought if he gave that much money to the left in the campaign that they could somehow cover his ass on this? Because he had to know he had to know he's going down. There's no way that you couldn't know that you're going to be in deep shit at some point.
Oh, surely.
And he has to be, his intelligence level can't be that great. I know he's probably something's probably there that he was able to create this. But if he knows this is all happening, he's in the Bahamas. Maybe he wasn't able to. If he's a intelligent Ponzi scheme criminal, doesn't he go to a country as quickly as he can that will not extradite to the U.S.?
You would think.
And you would think he could have probably shifted a little money that way at some point, that he could have lived a happy life on a beach somewhere. Yeah. I'm glad he didn't, but he could have. So I question the intelligence there as well.
Oh, you're not the only one, but I think that guy's dumber than dirt.
Do you have any more current events?
Nope, that was it. And I'm sorry, none of them were cheery for Christmas, but yeah,
that's okay. No. It's that time of year,
Oh, and I hope everybody doesn't die in the blizzard that has no ice and snow. But I mean, what?
The blizzard that is lessening, we hope, but it's going to be very cold in Illinois and very windy.
Very
Ryan,
windy. Yes,
it is time that our listeners hear the truth.
Oh my!
If you want your show stock to look their best, they need to be hydrated, and ShowFresh H2O has you covered. It is simple. ShowFresh H2O will take the chlorine out of the water, and animals will consume more water. 80% of muscle is water. How important do you think hydration is in the show ring? ShowFresh H2O can be found at your local supply trailer or swampfox.com. Thank you, ShowFresh H2O, for your continued support of this program.
And I really, really hope that ShowFresh H2O sends Dale a lot of Christmas presents since he's their biggest cheerleader. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you sent a whole wish list of all the
like
things
a gallon
that you desire from them,
H2O.
but
I could use a whole gallon.
I'm just saying, I don't think a gallon is going to work for you in Arizona. You're going to need more than a gallon, sir. Aim for bigger goals, dude. Bigger goals.
I think we'll be fine on that. Do we have a top 10?
A gallon's enough for you.
Yeah, that'll get us through Arizona.
Yes, we do. And again, it's getting down to the wire, but the one that I'm going to do this week is the top 10 overall cattle, and this is close. In the lead is Addison Poe from Stephenville, Texas, with 495 points. Grace Grosetta from Cottonwood, Arizona, is in second with 490 points. Dallas Ritchie, LaPorte, Indiana, is in third with 485 points. Faith Campa, Golden Valley, Arizona, 470 points. Kinley Stow, Marana, Arizona, 460 points. Jody Mead, McPherson, Kansas, 460. Cole Van Meter, Monon, Indiana, 425. Sarah Danley, Seminole, Texas, 410. Peter Grosetta, Cottonwood, Arizona, 410. And hold on, I got to scroll down. The final member of the top 10 as of today in the overall cattle standings is Bailey Stow, Marana, Arizona, 405. And there was a ton of shows last weekend and weekend before. Most of them have sent in their points. Not all of them have, but we are working to get them. And Dale is going to do his utmost best while he's in Arizona to get them to send me the points ASAP after the shows. Aren't you, Dale? That's the only reason you're going. Duh.
It's my purpose.
Right?
Do I get to put the expenses on the expense account then, or how does this work?
We don't have an expense
that's
account,
a write-off,
sir, but
I would like a BTR JLA credit card. That is what I would like.
Yes. So would I, but I don't have one. I want to again give a shout out to our regional sponsors for 2022. Region 1, Cliff Livestock, ICSB NorCal, Shannon Stone, Curly Cattle Company, and Red Hill Show Goats. Region 2 was the Showman app, Wireman Ranch, Leonard Truck and Trailer, and RS2 Show Stock. Region 3, Kiefer Auctions, South Texas Show Series, Scott Stedgy family, and the Roof Depot and the Hill family. Region 4, Maple Show Cattle, Leonard Truck and Trailer, the Showman app once again, and Leonard Truck and Trailer once again. Region 5, Stock Show Therapies, Easy P at Home, Putney Show Pigs, and Homestead Feed and Supply. And finally, Region 6, Leonard Truck and Trailer, Get It Done Show Stock, Leonard Truck and Trailer, and Interstate Showdown Series. Those were our region sponsors for 2022. We greatly appreciate them.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's time, Ryan. It's time. It is that part of time of year. We will drop this the Friday before Christmas. And I know how you like these episodes. I just know. The title is Christmas. Go ahead.
You're such a Scrooge. There's nothing wrong with
I'm okay with I like this time of year is great. It's great, but I'm just pointing out that you get extra excited about the Christmas wishes or the wish list or however you want to bundle it.
I have so many wishes.
And I gave you mine already. I just gave it to you. The BTR JLA expense card. That's what I need.
Right, yeah. Well, when I get one, I'll get you.
The kids will get no trophies.
Yeah, you're going to be.
Would you like to lead us off?
Well, again, we've done like a Christmas episode before, and so this is a little different spin on it. And so what I want, Dale's just going to tell you about what he wants for Christmas, and I think the main thing is he wants like a dirt bike or something, but I am going to talk about like if I could talk to Santa in person and say, look, if you could do this, this, and this for shows for next year, that would be my Christmas wish list. And so I'm aiming it towards the shows of it all for next year. And again, I think, and of course, we know Santa's not going to grant all these wishes, but maybe some of the shows will hear this episode and think, you know what, we can improve on this, or we can work on that, and stuff like that. So that's at least my take on it for Christmas 2022.
I like that take. I think I'll just jump right in with yours.
Okay, that's good. So glad for you.
And I have a few that maybe we'll get a little distracted, but not bad.
Well, do you have one that you're ready to lead off with, or would you like for me to go?
No, we ought to wait because one of mine involves UFOs and alien life and things. So go ahead. Let's start with something more.
Dale wants the aliens to come and watch the shows. I think that would be great, by the way. And by the way, Dale, I'm still very disappointed that you did not even comment on my Facebook post about you as a parent in the UFO of it all. That was very rude. Lots of people.
I don't remember. I saw it after the fact, and yeah, I did miss that.
Yeah, didn't even comment. But so I guess one of the first things.
Number one.
Well, I mean, I don't know about number one because I'll save that one for the end. But one of them would be, I think that one thing that, again, at shows, and I think this affects everybody, whether you're an exhibitor, a breeder, a broker, a fitter, or whatever, a judge. And I think it's a real easy fix too. So Santa could do this is lighting. I think lighting gets overlooked at shows. And so I think Santa.
That's a good one.
I think Santa should bring in more lighting for all the shows.
Well, I'm going to comment on yours if you don't mind. Because I don't have a lot. I just kind of suck right into yours. But this really bothers me, not only when I'm judging, but watching shows. And I'll run into situations, and I assume my eyes are more sensitive, that I'm constantly having to put my hand up if there's a door open and we're inside a building that the glare is coming through. Even if it's not bad to others, it seems to affect me. So I will constantly shade my eyes with my hand or whatever I need to do to be able to see better. But then you go to the other extreme where there's not that glare necessarily interfering and the lights are just poor. I'm gonna stay right here in our home state for an example. Our open cattle show ring, where we have a lot of the jackpot shows in the winter and the open cattle at the Illinois State Fair. It's terrible. It's a very nice facility, but the lighting in there is terrible. I was there at the winter warm up here a week ago, watching from the outside, and there's black cattle in the ring, whether it's Angus or whatever it was. And really, Ryan, I mean, all you can get is kind of their outline. the lighting's so poor. On the other colored breeds, maybe a little better. But you're right, and I don't know that a lot of thought goes into lighting, even when they have a very expensive facility. And a lot of these facilities are multi-purpose. I understand that. But I would still think you'd want decent lighting irregardless.
No. And again, not just Santa, but I think, like, again, I know some of the, especially jackpot shows, you can't, when you're budgeting a facility and all this stuff, probably that's not a huge thing. But they make every type of hangable, portable type of light in the history of the world. And again, you can also use them not just for shows. I mean, you can use them in your barn and all kinds of other things. And so I think it is something that gets overlooked. And I think it's an easy fix because you can just prop those things up around the show ring, and it really will make a difference for everyone. And especially, and I guess with it being the time of year that it is and dark comes early, several of the shows that I have judged in the past few months have run late for one reason or another. And again, when it gets later and darker and all those things, it just makes it more difficult to see. And I think it's a real easy fix, or maybe not fix, but you can definitely improve it.
Agreed completely. I have one that relates to show stock, Ryan.
Oh, Mom.
And this is a wish that kind of ties into there, that I don't know that Santa can fix this, but I'm just hopeful that our listeners, the families out there partaking in the show stock world, and we've talked about this many, many times on our podcast. My wish is for families, and I think it is for them to get along better in the show ring and continue to progress and do better each and every year, but is to think about what we're feeding, how we're managing. I guess it comes down to do everything with a purpose. Don't just feed a certain feed because somebody else does. Don't add a bunch of supplements to your feed because somebody that won last week did that. Every animal's an individual, from species to species. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, within species, across species, it doesn't matter. We need to stop and think, okay, let's cover their basic feed requirements. And then basically, if we need more energy or they need more weight or body condition, we feed them a little more. Energy intake is where we need to be, or we need to pull some energy out of the feed and feed a little bit less. We don't even necessarily need to change the feed ration. We can just feed more or less. As long as intake's decent on that animal. If it's a supplement that says it's going to do everything in the world, it's probably snake oil. It's not going to do those things. Biochemically, it doesn't work like that. So stop and think. If it's a supplement that has a basis for what it's going to do or try to do, maybe it's just amino acids or a protein supplement that if we're working that animal hard and we want to rebuild muscle or repair those muscle fibers, maybe that works out great. And there are supplements out there that have a purpose, but make sure that you're doing everything with a goal in mind. In other words, I'm going to change the feed because I want this to help change or go in the right direction. And Ryan gets asked this all the time, and I do as well. Sometimes a person will come out of the show ring and they'll ask, well, what can I change about my animal? Well, if they're genetically not good enough in their skeleton or they're horribly light muscled, there's just not a lot of, we can't, I want everybody to realize you can't change that. You can't take an animal that's poor structured and make it perfect structured, or a miserably light muscled animal and make it heavy muscled. It just legally doesn't work like that. So my wish is, let's think about what we're doing and make sure we're doing things for a purpose, that there's a reason behind each and everything we do, whether it's feeding, working hair, managing, whatever it is, do it with a purpose.
Very well put. And, to comment on the kids or parents or whoever coming up and asking, you or me or any judge, well, how do I fix what's wrong? What's wrong and how do I fix it? I think that's I first want to say, I think that's a perfectly fine question. And I don't take offense to anybody asking me that. I do want to say, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask the judge while in the ring, right when that class has been over, because again, the next class is waiting, etc., like that. And then the other thing is, when you ask that, if you're going to ask me, then you're going to get a truthful answer. And so, like Dale says, if it is a structural issue, I'm going to say, well, the problem, like I said on the mic, is that this one's too straight through shoulder and knee, and there is no way to fix that. Or if it's like Dale said, if the animal just does not have enough muscle or is extremely poor balanced, there is no big fix for that. And I want to be truthful with anybody that asks me a question. I want to be truthful with my answer. But then I see the look of frustration or disappointment in this kid or this parent when I have given them that answer. And so I understand it, but don't ask me if you don't want the truth. And I think this is part of the problem, is that why people don't want to be asked, or people say, oh, just worm it or something like that, because they don't want those looks and they don't want that situation. So again, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking that at the appropriate time and place. Also, if you ask me, you're going to get honesty.
And Ryan, that's very well put. And I think it's just in general, there's a lot of people that are showing livestock, and there's a misconception there that there's a magic feed ingredient that's going to take a narrow one and make it massive, that's legal, or fix the structure or something like that. Or we can do this management practice at home. We can ramp them on the goat or lamb stand, or we can put the calf out in sand, or whatever it may be, to fix these problems. And there's things we can do to adjust minor fixes and help some things go the right direction. But there's no magic wand, people. And it is disheartening when you hear that and unaware of that. And I think putting time into your project and exercising and doing everything you can to get it to look the best it can, that still needs to happen. It doesn't mean you're going to get it to perfection, but let's take that animal's genetic base and get as much out of it as we can. And going back to what I said earlier, do everything for a purpose. And if you don't understand it, try to reach out to your breeder, your broker, an ag teacher, somebody that you feel comfortable with that can maybe explain it to you with that individual animal.
So my next, what I think Santa needs to make sure happens for all the shows next year is that, and I'm not talking about in the stalling area, I'm talking about in the show ring, is that we have proper bedding. And again, I judge a lot of shows, and some, I would say about 50-50, this is fine. But a lot of times it's not. And I get shows are on a budget and all this other stuff, but there are ways to go about this. And the ideal thing, I'm just going to tell you, and it's probably too expensive for most shows, and some facilities may not allow it. The ideal thing is those pelleted shavings. And the reason why is they pack, the judge can still see the feet. They're an easy surface for the animals to walk on, all of those things. I know that they're the most expensive type of bedding, and so maybe not realistic for all things, but that's the ideal. If Santa was just the greatest Santa ever, that would be what he should carry in his little sack around to all the shows next year. But
it makes a huge difference. Huge.
Oh, it does. It does make a huge difference. But whatever type of bedding you're going to use, here are two things that I think are very important, that Santa doesn't have to bring this to you. You can do this on your own. Is one, making sure that bedding is wet down properly and packed to the best of your ability in terms of it. And those are things that you can do as show management, as show volunteers, etc., that do make a huge difference. And I think it gets overlooked a whole lot of time. And wetting it down and packing it serves two purposes. Number one, it makes the show surface easier for everyone to walk on, including the animals. But number two, there is nothing worse than spending a weekend in a barn when it doesn't matter if it's shavings or, dirt or whatever, where there's just nothing you can't see because it's so dusty or cloudy or whatever. It's just a miserable experience for everyone that can be easily fixed by wetting that surface down.
Absolutely. Seems simple, yet there are a lot of shows that still, I don't know if they don't want to take the time to slow the show down, but I'm willing to stop judging at any point or showing as an exhibitor if it's getting dusty in there to wet that ring down. That absolutely needs to happen. And speaking of the pellets, Ryan, that we wet down and it forms that perfect surface, I think we talked about this before. The first year or two that my family participated at the Arizona National in the goat and sheep arena, they had very loose, deep sand, and the stock looked totally different. Those small feet were allowing the lambs and goats to sink down into there a little bit. It made them all look a lot smaller framed. I do not believe the judge could probably evaluate movement very well. And the animals were just, especially the goats, not going to cooperate as well because it was a surface they just weren't used to walking on and sinking in. And we made the simple request that hey, ideally speaking, I think I saw it in the hog ring that they had used those pelleted shavings and they broke down when they wet and just had that perfect surface. And fortunately, Arizona took that recommendation and they got it fixed and changed. And man, that's all you can ask for is if we have shows across the country that are able to try to make it better. And not everybody's going to be able to afford a jackpot show, may not be able to put that in there as betting. It's just too expensive. And maybe there's already bark or whatever it may be on premise that you're going to use. Let's just make the best of whatever you do have and put some thought into it. And there's not always going to be a fix. And a lot of the rings that I've been in, they work those rings up before you start, and it's kind of a sand base. And those first cattle we'll use for an example that come in the ring, or hogs, before it gets packed down, they kind of get a pass in terms of their skeleton, and particularly down at their pasterns, because it's difficult to call them out or to know exactly how those things are flexing and moving and functioning, where later in the day it gets packed down a little bit, and it's much easier as a judge to evaluate some of those differences in terms of flexibility on their feet.
And then, I mean, we'll move on to one of Dale's Christmas wishes or whatever, but to end on this one, I would also like to make a request to Santa, if that's okay, Dale, whether you think it's okay or not.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it depends what the request is.
Yeah, I think Santa should take Cole with him on his trip, and any show that makes you show on bark or mulch, regardless of species, gets Cole in their stocking.
And there's quite a few out there, and
I
think it's just readily available.
It's a terrible surface.
I understand.
It's a terrible surface. It is uneven. No animal can walk as soundly as they cannot. It's a terrible surface. Do you not at least agree with that?
No,
okay.
I do.
I
do. And I'm sure some shows have their hands tied, but in an ideal world, let's do what we possibly can and make the best of what's available. I'm going to go way more practical, and this isn't going to take very long. I would like show families, and I'm targeting more show families than shows or show management. One thing that I believe gets overlooked, and it's maybe more in the goat side and sheep side, particularly the goat side, is that we don't pay enough attention to parasite management. And we spend hours and hours a day out there working these animals, doing everything we can, and something so simple as parasite management may be hindering us to get to that level that we want to get to. I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of times they won't be worried about that until we get scours or loose stool, or the animal looks like it's getting thin. At that point, we have such a parasite load, we've really set ourselves back. So it seems so logical to me that you simply take a fecal sample and send it into your local vet and have them look at it. A lot of people prefer just to treat on a monthly basis, or however many weeks they so choose, and assume that the parasite eggs would not be in the fecal sample, and there's a very low load of parasites in that animal. And I'm not saying we need to get to zero. I tend to overreact and try to get to zero parasite load in our show animals, and that's not good for building resistance and a lot of other things. But we need to keep a very manageable load. And when you think about it, if you have some animals that are a little higher metabolism, that are burning calories anyway, and it's hard to get them into a positive energy balance, that we're feeding. Anytime we have a parasite load of any significance, we're hindering their ability to put on weight, and particularly put on that extra finish or bloom or whatever you want to call it, as we're trying to go into that show that we've been targeting for months. And it's sad to me that sometimes people aren't going to get to that level because of something so very, very simple. For less than a couple $100, you can have a microscope and your fecal collection devices and your slides and cover slips and fecal sol, everything you need to do it on your own. You can go on YouTube and for the most part, learn how to at least identify parasite eggs. It's not a difficult process, or simply send it off to your vet. It's very simple. And I think hopefully bringing this to the attention will help people, because I know how much time goes into it. I know how much money goes into it. So let's not overlook the basics that sometimes do get overlooked. And I promise you, in the goat arena, if we can just keep those goats with a relatively low parasite load, you're 75% the way there. And it sounds like I'm exaggerating to make a point here, but I'm really not. We just can't get over that hurdle. I understand in cattle, we're probably not going to deal with something. We're not dealing with a parasite load usually that's going to hinder those show animals. Probably not in pigs either, because of the way we're raising them at this point. A little bit in sheep, but sheep, it seems to be easier to control parasites. But goats become the problem because there appears to be more resistance, especially with something like coccidia. And there's only certain products and certain drugs out there that are going to be able to get rid of that or keep coccidia at bay. And believe it or not, you're all going to be exposed to parasites and coccidia, and don't just assume that it's not there. So hopefully simple, easy fix, just one of those wishes to hopefully have all these show families that put so much time and effort into it. Let's check this off our list as well to say, okay, we're good there. We don't have to worry about that. We can continue with what we're doing.
Dell and I have very different wishes from Santa. He's
very
I'm talking about show stuff, and he's talking about just general things. But anyway, it's fine.
Yes, well, these are my wishes. These are the things that I deal with every day that I know.
I don't think my Santa and your Santa are going to coordinate fine, but it's fine. So we have a bipolar podcast. It's great. Moving on. So my third, I only have 5 wishes. And so my third is that at the shows that we get, and again, I'm not saying this gets overlooked, but there are ways that Santa or someone who on show management could readily fix this, is the microphone system. And I'm not just talking about the one in the ring, I'm talking about the one in the barns too. And sometimes the one in the barns is, there and you have to use that one. But if that's the case and it's not a very good one and it doesn't work well, you can send people, volunteers, through the barns saying, hey, they've started keys or they've started Dorpers or, they're on Durox, to just kind of let people know. And you don't have to go to everybody, but you can stand and there's somebody with a loud voice at every show, on every show committee, trust me, and just let them know. But if you are in charge, a lot of shows have to bring in their own microphone system to some of these events. And if you do, make sure it's a quality one. Because I think it is very underestimated the importance of relaying to the exhibitors what is currently going on in the ring, because that keeps them aware of when they need to be up there and keeps the show flowing and going, so you don't have to wait on people at the ring. And more importantly, or just as importantly, not more importantly, because I actually think that's probably more important, but just as importantly, I don't care where you place in your class, but as a parent, as an exhibitor, or a member of that said animal's team, you want to know what the judge had to say about, or you should want to know what the judge has to say about your animal. Sometimes maybe not, and without a proper microphone system, audio system, whatever you want to call it, then a lot of times you can't hear. And so that is another one of my wishes that Santa could bring to all the shows.
Nope, I think that would be great. And I understand if we go back years ago, those PA systems were fairly expensive. But I've seen a lot of them, Ryan, at these jackpot shows that are not expensive but work phenomenal. I'd say throw those old, you get into those county fair barns and they've got a microphone hooked up that goes to a speaker that's 50 years old. I think it's time to just throw them all away. It's not that expensive at this point to replace them.
Mm.
And if Santa's bringing them, we don't have to worry about the budget.
With you. Exactly.
No, I'm absolutely there. I don't. I have one left that I can save for the end that doesn't have anything whatsoever to do with stock show. So you can continue with your number.
Oh my
4, 5.
See, I told y'all Del Santa is really screwed up. Y'all don't like Del Santa. He's a really bad person. He doesn't grant any wishes, and they're real generic.
I have a wish. Wish for you. I can throw in real quick. I need to. I do have a wish for you. I wish.
Oh God,
that Santa would wrap up that little cute White House press secretary and just deliver her to you. You can just keep her. That's what I wish.
I don't want her. I think she's the greatest thing that's ever happened to the Republicans. She's a babbling idiot. I think it's great, but
I also wish that you have a home in 2023. A home for Ryan.
Yeah, well, me too. And I'm going to tell you, I don't even know if Santa can pull that off, but we're going to say. But
I'm doing better.
Yeah, there you go. Another wish that I have, and this is going to be a real quick one, because I'm sure that we're running over time as usual, because I spent too long bitching about things in current events. But another wish that I have is that every jackpot show, all the shows, regardless, would be sanctioned with BTRJLA next year. And it's super easy. It really is. Again, if you're a county fair or a state fair, it's free. All you got to do is contact us. We will send you either a PDF of the state or county fair sanctioning form for you to fill out, but we also have a link on the website that you can fill it out there, but we don't have it up there publicly because too many people were trying to use that one because it's free, but we can send you that. You can fill it out and you can be sanctioned for free. So again, if you're a county fair, state fair, junior national, you can be sanctioned for free. So again, that's super easy. If you're just a jackpot show, some people asked us about, jackpot shows or regional shows. If you're a jackpot or a regional show, it is only $50 per species. And again, the sanctioning form's online. You fill it out. You pay. I know some shows can't pay with a credit card. That's perfectly fine. All you have to do is email us or contact us. We'll send you the form via email, and you can send it back and send in a check. But again, $50 per species, regardless. You can. I just judged a show in Kingsville this past weekend. They had 4 rings of every species. So they had 4 rings of pigs, sheep, goats, cattle. You can sanction all of those, and it's still just $50 per species. So it's $200 total, no matter how many rings. And so again, that is one of my biggest wishes for Santa to impart to the shows is they need to be BTRJLA sanctioned. I can't tell you how many shows this year have called like days before the show and say, we've had a bunch of exhibitors want to know if we can do this. Can we do it? And we have let them every single time. But, get on it early, send that stuff in, because when the problem is you have exhibitors calling you, but we have a calendar up on our website where people go to look to see where the closest BTRJLA sanctioned show is. If you just call us the week of, you're not going to make it on the calendar. So plan early, get those sanctioning contracts in, and make sure you're BTRJLA sanctioned, because we're planning on even a bigger and better year in 2023.
Excellent. I'm in on that wish list with you. I'm there. I think wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, so you can tell your Santa to get on the stick. Yeah. And my biggest wish for all shows, I don't care what level of show you are, and again, I think Santa would be truly magical if he could get this going in some way, is to let the exhibitors and their families have a say in the judge of the shows. And I know I've said that on here 9 million times, and people are going to say that is self-serving because I'm somewhat popular judge, whatever. It has nothing to do with me. There's going to be lots of shows that could do this that I would never make the list to be voted on. But I really do think that is the biggest thing that needs to change in our industry. We're the only industry that doesn't survive by the theory that the customer is always right in so many areas. And one of the biggest make it or break it thing probably for every show is the quality of the judge. And not everybody's going to agree with the judge. But if they had a voice and they had a say in it, there'd be a lot less bitching and they'd be a lot more appreciative to those shows. So that is my number one ho 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 Santa Christmas wish list for shows in 2023. Let your exhibitors, let the livestock families have a say in selecting the judge in some way.
And that's so simple, and it just makes so much sense. And from every angle, it makes sense. And I know we talk about it a lot, and I think there's a lot of show superintendents that have implemented that, and it's appreciated. And I think you'll find it's going to be appreciated from the exhibitors, and I think you'll see your numbers grow. I think it benefits everybody involved. We can't expect all the show managers or superintendents to know what's going on within the industry and who's going to work out as a judge and who's not going to be politically tied, all of those things. I'm not saying it's always going to be perfect, but the more the exhibitor involvement, the better. So I amen to that one, Ryan. I'm on board with you. My last one, and it has nothing to do necessarily with the livestock stock show industry, but it does affect everything. And we talk about current events before this each time, because a lot of things that we're talking about, even though it's not stock show directly related, what's going on in the world does impact our lives, believe it or not. I'd love to block it out sometimes, and occasionally I do, and Ryan gets very, very angry. But it does happen. So my number one true Christmas wish is for the world to become more stable and common sense to be implemented at the highest levels of government across the world. And I know that's a pretty big wish, and I know that's something everybody talks about and says, oh, we want world peace, we want all those things. I just want a little common sense implemented. That's it. I'd be thrilled to get to that point. But Ryan, I enjoyed listening to mostly yours. Mine were a little more on the practical side, but Santa's kind of a practical guy, I think. I believe that. I believe that to be true. It's time for question and answer. And our listeners, Ryan, we did have a couple submit somewhat holiday type questions. I did pull one of them off, and I don't even know that I'm not saying I don't like this question, but sometimes I don't like talking about my personal life. I've gotten much better, and I'm working on it. This one comes from Becky. Ryan and Dale, what will you guys be doing for Christmas? Do you spend Christmas together?
Do we spend Christmas together?
Do we spend Christmas together?
I have never been to your house, sir, so I don't know how.
Becky has not heard us argue with you on here.
No.
I guess I could show up.
Dale has armed security with like machine guns waiting at his gate to keep me out. So no, I've never been. But so we do not spend Christmas together. But when I judged the steer show at Arizona National a few years back, we kind of spent after Christmas and the beginning of New Year's together. But no, we've never spent Christmas together. But that's where this whole podcast.
I think a little time at Oklahoma City after the holidays last year, even. So kind of.
Yeah. I mean,
so what are
Christmas?
What are you doing on Christmas?
Besides hiding from my parents,
you can't hide from them on Christmas.
Oh yes, I can. When I had my own house, I was excellent at it. Let me tell you, when my house wasn't in reconstruction, I was excellent at it. And you notice I don't call it remodeling; I call it reconstruction. Like this is like after the North and South had war, and over there is reconstruction, people. But I was excellent at hiding. Typically, what we do is we go to Christmas Eve service the night before, And I try to make sure that Cherie does not light the sanctuary or her weave on fire during the candlelight of Oh Holy Night of it all, because she's A, number one, not coordinated, B, not steady, and C, she's getting a little up there in her age. And so, yeah, but so I am on that duty every year, and this is for a while. And then we go to, after the Christmas Eve service, we go to one of their close family friends. And I mean, I'm not saying that they're not my close family friend, but they're much closer in age to my parents, and they don't have any kids my age. So we go to their house and sit around and eat and drink. And then depending on which way Cherie's tendencies or mood are at the time, normally we open Christmas presents Christmas morning, but every once in a while she'll get something and we'll have to leave the Walker Christmas party and come over here and open Christmas presents on Christmas Eve. But normally we open them Christmas morning, and then normally I would go hide in my house until Christmas dinner. I can't do that this year because my house is no longer livable until she decides that she's going to do with it what she wants. And so I will either drive around the town of Crockett aimlessly or hide in the multiple rooms in her house when she can't find me, and then we'll eat Christmas dinner, and that's kind of it. It's real basic. Yeah,
that's good though.
I mean, the presents aren't basic. At least mine aren't. But yeah, it's pretty simple.
Well, I hate to bring this to your attention, but I'm gonna throw out a prediction. I'm gonna say you're at best barely gonna be into your house by next Christmas, 2023.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you either. But yeah, so there you go.
So on our end,
got to book lots of shows for 2023, so I can be gone the whole year. Tons of them. I need more shows than ever.
On our end on Christmas, again, fairly basic, but for example, the last few years and this year to use, we're gonna wake up Christmas morning and get in a truck and head to the Arizona National of it all. So almost all of Christmas Day and
good luck with all that.
We spend in the truck. So we're gonna have our Christmas on Christmas Eve, and Holly and I, fairly basic, like Ryan says, we usually stay home here for Christmas Day. That morning, the kids will wake up. We usually open presents first thing in the morning, followed by some type of breakfast, and then a meal later in the day. Nothing unique or special, but just really good family time. Sometimes some board games, things like that. So hopefully that
what
will
did
all
you
take
just
place.
say?
Board games or something to the card games, something
board games
in that direction.
I don't
I used to love playing Monopoly. Loved it until my family all started playing the same way I did, and then it was no longer fun. It was terrible.
One of my best friends was texting me yesterday, and they were explaining to me that they played Cards Against Humanity over Thanksgiving. I was like, who are you? You are not the person I know. Nobody I know and are best friends with plays board games. We don't do those things.
No, my wife has been really big on them lately.
Well, I will tell one funny story since they're asking about Christmas stuff. Several years ago, I don't even want to bring this up, but anyway, I'm going to leave that person out. Anyway, several years ago, there was somebody that was not immediate family having Christmas with us, and Cherie had never seen Christmas Vacation or the Griswold Family Christmas. What is that movie called? I don't know. Y'all know the movie I'm talking about. But anyway, and so we watched that, and I have never heard that woman literally laughed from the beginning to the end, and she had never watched it, never heard of it before. And so we did do that one night. And again, I liked the movie, but I'm a person that once I've seen the movie once, I could pretty much remember all of it, so I don't need to see it multiple times unless it's still Magnolias. But it was very funny that she had never heard of the movie, and so we watched it, and she just thought it was the greatest thing ever. And now she makes James watch it with her every Christmas.
Speaking of movies, I did just go see the second Avatar. Remember Avatar, when I brought it up to you that you didn't even You didn't even know what it was or a movie?
I don't know what that is. I told you that. I don't know what Avatar is. I don't know what the first one was. I definitely don't know what the second was. I told you I will try to watch them over Christmas to make you happy. But
very good. I think they're very good movies.
A few days here.
Very, very good. Okay. That you can hide up in your room and
aliens,
watch
so
that.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Tucker Carlson tonight is covering aliens. I am the most excited. Of course. Okay, comes from Logan. Thank you both for doing all you do for the youth in the stock show world. I love the podcast, and when I was listening to the breed purity episode, it opened my eyes to the fact that papers do not mean an animal is truly pure. Is there a solution that the breed associations can implement? It said Ryan, I think, on this one.
Again, I'm trying to be positive here, but no.
Yep, enough said. Really good answer. Great answer. We can leave it at
that. There's really not. No, there's just not. Okay, sorry. I'm just going to leave it at that.
and I'll follow up. I mean, I think we covered it in quite a bit of detail with an example, the National Swine Registry doing their purity test. I think that's the best direction maybe that there is right now.
Yeah.
A lot of the cattle associations are getting a lot of DNA in and genomics done, and consequently parentage testing coming with that. The issue with anything less than purity testing, such as the NSR, that even if we're doing parentage verification, we may be starting with what we consider a crossed up animal to begin with. So it's hard. It's hard. I think some efforts can be made. We had a lot of great comments come in from listeners on all species, and basically acknowledging, that these are a lot of crossbred animals, and there is some value on keeping them pure. So Logan, I don't know what the solution is. I hope there's people out there listening way smarter than Ryan and I that maybe can offer some suggestions or at least get people thinking about it. So I appreciate the question. I know
lots of suggestions and lots of suggestions and things that can help, but like there is no fix. And I also don't know if any of those suggestions or any of those things would be implemented by the majority of the breeds, because they would all cost massive amounts of money.
Yeah. And I think, it just depends who's sitting on that breed association board at that time, whether some of these things are even wanted, because right. It does cause complications and disagreements and potentially lawsuits and lots of things are involved in it. So it's a tough topic. We got a lot of good response back from that one, so I'm glad we covered it, but a tough topic. The third question comes from Colton, and I think we've had questions like this before, so it should be an easy one for you. I'm a new livestock superintendent for our county show. Where do I begin to look for a judge that will not be political and do a good job? Can I give you your number, Ryan?
Sure, absolutely you can. We're done. More county first than anybody else, probably. Well, it would depend on the date and some other things, but yeah. I think the best thing to do is, first off, if you can afford, depending on what your budget is, and I don't know what this person didn't list what state they were from either, did they?
No, I probably could have stalked them, but I did not see it.
Okay. Well, no, it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, like, depending on what state you're from, there are some states that have hundreds of capable judges accessible that you could find, what other states don't. I think the best thing to try to keep politics at bay as much as possible or whatever, the farther that you can go away from that county in terms of a mileage distance for your judge, I think that's probably the best way. I'm not going to say use somebody that nobody knows, because if you use somebody nobody knows, there's a reason nobody knows them. And it's probably because they don't need to be judging your county fair. I'm just being super honest. But if you can go out of state, or you can look to other regions to get that person, I think that is a real big thing. And I'm going to also offer another suggestion too. And even if this is in state, I think something that county fairs don't do enough is they don't utilize people in their county giving recommendations, all this other stuff. You can take those recommendations and then you can do some research yourself. And it's super easy to stalk people on social media these days. And so you can see if Jean Pierre, whatever, Dill's little favorite, if she was the livestock judge, you go on her social media, see if anybody in the county has liked her latest Facebook post, or if there's anybody in the county that's tagged in those posts or Instagram or stuff like that. That's a way that you can research stuff. You can also call people that you know from other states. Have you ever seen XYZ judge? Do he or she do a good job? Stuff like that. And again, one other tool that I think you can use is call up like Texas A&M or Texas Tech or K-State or whatever, any of those things, because it's hard to get one of the big major show judges available to do county fairs, but there are a lot of kids that have been on recent judging teams, recently got off judging teams, that would be dying for a chance like that probably don't know anybody. Call one of those schools, say, hey, can you recommend somebody that's been on one of your recent judging teams for my county fair? Tell them what species, or if it's all species, stuff like that. And again, that's another tool that you can use. But the further away you can go, if you have the budget, I think that's the number one thing, because you take them, you get somebody out of your element, out of your region, out of your state, the likelihood of them being politically tied to someone that is in that county or know someone in that county or someone who sold in that county, the odds get a lot less.
Perfectly stated. Perfectly stated. Well, Ryan, that was good. I enjoyed visiting about your Christmas wishes. I enjoyed visiting or recommending some of the simple things that we can do to do better, that Santa can maybe help us out with. A little update. Ryan and I have talked about Chase doing a podcast that we're going to call Beyond the Realm. And he has two special guests that we're actually recording this week. And Ryan and I will be the guest. And I'm so looking forward to being a guest, Ryan. I think that's a much more comfortable position to be in.
It's the same exact thing.
Oh, dang.
They put up a topic and you talk about stuff. It's the same thing.
So I'm looking forward to it. That is going to get recorded this week, depending on how busy Mr. Clifton is in the Christmas season. I don't know for sure exactly when that's going to drop, but it's going to be covering animal intelligence. So it should be good. Ryan, I very much look forward to that debate with you.
Yeah,
don't you be picking on the goats.
I don't even know what we're debating, but sure.
What animals are intelligent versus not
intelligent? Oh, goats are going to lose. Goats are going to lose the most.
That's what I assumed. I don't agree with that, but we'll talk about that on the other one. With that said, Merry Christmas and be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear? And Merry Christmas.